Hi folks, Ledge Hermit here. Another meandering video about my upcoming campaign. I don't know whether other people will sort of relate to what I'm posing here, but one of the issues that I'm seriously considering now is in my BX D&D game, throwing out level limits for demi-humans altogether and just letting everyone play any class to any level. And so that's been interesting. My reason for doing this is partly just to utilize the Wilderlands of High Fantasy box set that I've got, the third edition set, which is an excellent product. I like all of the stuff that I have. That one is kind of the spine of my campaign. It's my mainstay. I think I've mentioned elsewhere that I really enjoy the settlement system that third edition uses, because it's just straightforward, and you kind of get a stat block for a town. It may be somewhat redundant because it's a stat block for a third edition game, and my game is largely BX, but there's a lot to go with, and part of what I'm doing is going with mixed class demi-humans as presented. So there'll be a town that'll say, there's a significant town member who's a druid rogue, halfling or something. And generally you can kind of work around issues from system to system by just going, well, I'll use my thief class instead of the rogue class. But in a system where halflings can be fighters or thieves and not druids, then you kind of have to rethink things. And honestly, I really enjoy the whole flavor that you get from that third edition extrapolation of the Wilderlands, where there's these crazy kind of varieties of characters laid out, and there's like literally thousands and thousands of these NPCs that are just there for me to turn into my own fodder for my game. And I quite like, that's I guess because I started running the Wilderlands in third edition years ago, that's kind of how I feel about the Wilderlands, is that's what they're like. And so being able to just remove the level limits for demi-humans and the class limitations, and say, this is not an issue. Anyone can just pick 3 classes and be a multi-class character, up to 3 classes, and be a multi-class character from level 1, and do the multi-classing old school, and not have to deal with the tiresome mechanical granular stuff that you get with third edition, which is why I don't want to run it. And it's been interesting, because the main issue, I think, is what do you do about humans? The reason that there's level limitations for demi-humans and class limitations, well, the idea is if there's no limits on the demi-humans, them being superior just out of the box as a race, because they get like infravision or saving throw bonuses, it just it makes humans undesirable, and in a setting where humans are meant to be significant, that doesn't work. And I wholeheartedly agree. Generally, I have not much of an issue with applying those demi-human limitations. But this is kind of a crazy, almost Gonzo style setting. I'm going to run it more gritty than Gonzo, but so I don't mind going with that. I've just had to correct the issue with humans. And so what I'm doing, and I'd be interested in hearing comments if anyone wishes to comment. What I'm doing is saying, okay, you have various human sub-races. Each of the sub-races is going to get some flavorful things. So for instance, the Skandiks, who are, basically the Norsemen of this setting, I think I'm going to say that they can, because the idea in the setting is that they're just extraordinary swimmers, kind of like Beowulf, wrestling sea serpents for days out at sea. Well, that's kind of the what they're after with these Skandic heroes. And so I'm just saying, well, here's a simple thing. If you're a Skandic, then you can survive underwater for twice as long as a normal human. I like that because it's easy, simple. If you're from Valon, the northern frozen region where these blue-skinned humans are innately sorcerers, then maybe even mundane character classes. You start with a set of cantrips, a couple of minor spells that you can cast. Right? You don't normally have cantrips in BX, but I'm just kind of tearing that whole section out of first edition's Unearthed Arcana and saying, yeah, cantrips exist in my game, largely to facilitate that. And all of these sub-races will get something. But frankly, my one of my players rolled up a dwarf character with a reasonably good constitution tonight. And because of that great constitution, they've got a +4 bonus for 3 separate saving throws. That's awesomely powerful. Like, it's very powerful. So how do you convince people to be humans when all there is flavor? Well, what my idea is to kind of replicate by other means the significant advantage that humans used to have in my BX game, which is that there's no limit to the level or the class that you can play as your human. You can go to level 36 in BECMI in any class as a human. And so that was their main attraction. So the idea is that humans are resourceful, clever, determined, avid, interested parties who don't take their time with things. They just sort of move on with their career. That's kind of the template they're painting about humans. And so my solution is just to say that as a human character who can play like all of the other races, any class that you want, and up to 3 separate classes if you're multi-classing, because I'm allowing humans to multi-class like the demi-humans. You get to choose a favored class as per 3rd edition, but I apply it differently. Basically, you pick a favored class. It's only going to be one of your classes if you're multi-classed. You pick a favored class and you get an extra on top plus 10% bonus to the experience points that you earn for that class. That seems like it just might be the kind of thing that would entice my players to go, you know what, I think I'm going to play a human because that's cool. A lot of the other stuff in the other races is cool, and I might do another video discussing some of the cool or weird races that you have in the Wilderlands. you know, it is kind of the Mos Eisley Cantina fantasy setting to some degree, and I don't mind that for this. You know, I know that it's not popular in a way um, amongst various old school folk that everyone needs to play some kind of hipster race, you know, and be weirdly unhuman, and then play them, yeah, like some, you know, yeah, just play them as some hipster character from their local area. Um, that annoys me too. But you know, to be fair to the setting, there's lots of kind of weird races spawned by these kind of ancient wars between demons and gods, where you know demon kind were basically experimenting with humans and making servitor races from them, and that's where a lot of these, you know, lizard men and such came from. You know, so in a way, I don't mind letting people play the weird shit if they want to. Um, I'm hoping that I can keep the campaign gritty and purposeful enough that some of those things kind of don't matter so much. But I guess we'll see, right? The main thing is that it's kind of appealing to my players, and I think for the right reasons, because they're interested in the setting, not because they were, you know, looking at some feed of characters on the internet that they want to replicate. Um, hmm. But yeah, you know, I think that plus 10% XPs is pretty lucrative. I was thinking plus 5, and my learned colleague, one of my players, said, "Yeah, no, dude, just make it plus 10." And he's not playing a human, so it wasn't it wasn't that that's what he was fishing for. Um, and yeah, I think that kind of works. You know, this is on top of XP bonuses that you get for uh, having high statistics in your prime requisite. And the other thing that I like about this is that it also makes it a little bit more viable not to be multi-classed. You know, if you don't want to be one of these weird kind of this, that, and the other characters, but it's like, yeah, if you want to be a solo class, you know, thief who's a human, and you know maybe has a high dex, you could be getting plus 20% XPs out the gate, you know, with your sort of low XP cost class. And while everyone else is needing thousands of XPs to level with their kind of bizarre hodgepodge characters, you're just racing ahead. I like that idea, and the style of this particular campaign is going to be such that I'm willing to see where it all goes and not worry about it too much. There's probably stuff that I'm missing. There's probably people who are going to be appalled by this view. That's okay. If you are, tell me why. I'm probably not going to change it at this point because I'm actually feeling pretty excited about it, and I like it. But I'm interested in tempering thoughts that I might use to kind of manage my enthusiasm through this whole process. Anyway, thank you for listening. I will do another video soonish, continuing my reading of History of the Wilderlands. And cheers.